Hello everyone, this is Cinema Recap here, and today we're going to be talking about an action monster film called The Host. Make sure to press like and subscribe for more. In the underground facility of a morgue, a senior pathologist complains about the cleanliness of the room. He tells the associate to throw away the chemicals down the sink as they're covered in dust. The man looks at him in shock, as that would be a clear violation of the law. The head scientist threatens him with his job, which forces the man to empty the numerous bottles into the sewage. As time goes on, people begin noticing weird creatures inside the lake, but paying no attention to the possible consequences. A salaried man plans to commit suicide by jumping into the river, but before he does, he notices a large shadow inside the water. Seeing that his co-workers are not aware of the danger, he tells them goodbye and proceeds to leap in. Jandu is the son of a convenience store owner, and he's not very good at doing his job, falling asleep all the time. His father, Hiban, is unsatisfied with the son and tells him to wake up and take care of the customers. Although Gandu is lazy and quite useless, he loves his daughter very much, even though she has a very low opinion of her father, just like everyone else. They watch television together and cheers for Gandu's sister, Nanjo, who's a national archery champion competing for the first place. Suddenly, a newsflash comes on that shows the body of the salaried man from before, but half of his body is missing as if something bit him before he died. Ibn tells his son to get out and go back to work as the customers are complaining about their orders. Gandu brings the food to the people, but notices that everyone is staring at the river. They see a strange creature under the bridge and wonders what it can be. The animal begins moving, eventually dropping into the water. The people walk even closer to the riverfront, and Gandu throws a can of beer at the creature, which it quickly takes underwater. Everyone begins throwing garbage into the river as well, and soon the creature disappears, leaving nothing but trash in the water. Just when Gandu is about to leave, he sees the giant creature ashore, charging towards the people and knocking them into the river. Everybody runs in fear while the monster continues to trample over the spectators and attacking them furiously. Gandu tries to tell the people to run, but gets knocked over by the giant beast. The creature begins running towards the population center, while everyone runs away, looking for shelter. The monster charges inside the mobile container full of people, turning the shelter into a giant lunchbox as it devours everyone inside. An American soldier tries to free the people with Gandu, but the monster rushes out of the room that is now full of blood. They chase after the monster and tries their best to stop its destruction, but nearly gets killed as the soldier gets wounded badly by the creature. Jandu tries to save the man by hitting the monster on the tail, but the attacks are effective as the creature turns around and forces Gandu to run away quickly. Ian goes outside of the convenience store looking for her father, only to see that everyone has disappeared. Gandu grabs his daughter quickly and runs for safety, but in the midst of chaos, he notices that he grabbed the wrong person. The man turns around, only to see the monster charging towards his daughter, taking her away. The creature jumps into the river and swims to the other side. Gandu tries to chase after, but watches hopelessly as the daughter is taken into the water. The armies arrive soon to block off the area, and the people mourn for their family's death as a huge community funeral takes place in the shelter. Ian's uncle, Nam Il, also arrives with tears in his eyes after hearing about the death of his niece. The family embrace each other as they fall onto the floor in sadness, but instead of helping them, the news reporters surround them and begins to take pictures like vultures. A government worker in a biohazard suit comes to greet the people and inquires about those who made physical contact with the creature. The people are afraid to admit their involvements, but after being asked repeatedly, some raise their hands, including Gandu, in the fear of legal punishment. More workers in the yellow suits begin rushing into the building, trying to quarantine the families. They take away Gandu forcefully, as his family begs for them to stop. It turns out that the American soldier who helped Gandu was able to survive the monster's attack, but soon became sick after being infected with a virus that the creature carries. The government is pulling back their military forces and sending in specialized teams trained to handle virus outbreaks. At the same time, Gandu and his family arrives at the hospital, but is surprised to see the lack of quarantine measures, as even the doctors are not wearing masks. At night, the father gets a phone call which he immediately recognizes as the daughter. Gandu tries to ask for her location, but the signal cuts out suddenly, as the rest of the family wakes up as well. The monster continues to attack the humans, killing the quarantine workers and bringing them back to its nest inside the sewer, where the creature is storing them as food for later. He even sneaks out from inside the opening of a drainage and examines the worker that the monster brought in, but the man died of drowning as he spits out water from his lungs. The girl manages to find a cell phone on the body, but it's not functional anymore after being submerged inside the river. Back in the hospital, Gandu tries to convince the police that his daughter is alive, but the officer thinks that the man's crazy and wants the doctor to give him a psychiatric evaluation. Realizing that his daughter might begin starving soon, the family tries sneaking out from the hospital, but gets recognized immediately because of Gandu's blonde hair. They run towards the elevator, then into the parking garage, where a vehicle driven by gangsters was arranged to pick them up. The family successfully escapes the hospital as the police officer desperately chases them on foot. After the escape, the gangsters charge the old man a large amount of money for rescuing them, providing them with guns and a government vehicle so that they can blend in. Gibbon has no choice but to give them all his savings, including his credit cards as well. They drive towards a police checkpoint and tries to pass through, but a police captain recognizes them as wanted escapees from the hospital. With no other choice, Gibbon bribes the officer with the only money that they have left. The family begins searching for Hyun inside every sewer system that they find on the maps that they were given, but the area is too large to cover, and they have no clue as to where the girl is. Il complains that they'll never find his niece this way as they're looking blindly, but his sister tells him to stop complaining as they have no other options. Suddenly, the family notices something moving ahead of them and prepares their guns to shoot. Man feels water drip on her in the ceiling, and they shoot multiple shots, only to realize that it was nothing. However, it turns out that there are two other boys hiding beside the walls, and they escape out of the sewers after nearly being killed by the family. The two boys are homeless, and the older brother decides to steal food from the nearest convenience store, which turns out to be the one that Gandu owns on the beach. The younger brother, Saijo, wants to take their money as well, but his brother stops him and tells him that that is wrong, as they're only taking things they need to survive. They head out with bags of food after ransacking the storage, only to see the monster charging towards them from under the bridge. The two runs quickly back towards the shelter, but the monster chases them closely behind as the boys run desperately for their lives. Moments later, Bon goes back to their store and sees that the doors have been forced open. He pays it no attention, and the family continues to have their dinner, while imagining that Hyun was there with them as well. Meanwhile, the girl is trying to survive by gathering water from the sewers, but sees the monster approaching and quickly pretends to be dead. The creature drops off the boys he captured from earlier, and he notices that the younger brother is still alive. She tries her best to save the boy and protect him from the monster. After some time, Gandu notices the creature standing outside their store, and the father tries to shoot the monster, but ultimately misses. He charges towards them and begins pushing on the structure, eventually flipping the whole place over, while the father continues to shoot. After the monster has stopped, the family moves out only to see it lying on the ground, apparently wounded by the gunshots. The uncle fires at the monster, which prompts it to run towards the river. The family continues their pursuit. However, they soon run out of bullets as the creature jumps into the river. He tells everyone to stay back as Gandu gives his father the gun with the last bullet. The monster begins swimming towards the family again, while Nam tries shooting it with her arrows. The creature charges at the old man, and he fires the gun, but it turns out that Gandu miscalculated, and there was nothing left to shoot. He turns around and calmly tells his family to run as the creature tramples over him. He grabs Bon by the leg and smashes him to the ground as everyone watches hopelessly. Gandu runs towards the father's lifeless body and cries in pain, but they can't stay there for long, as the police are heading this way as well. He tells the siblings to run away for the sake of finding and proceeds to cover his father's face with newspaper. Gandu tries to leave as well, but is unable to overcome his grief and gets captured by the police officers. At night, the uncle goes to his friend for help who has a job in the phone company. They sneak into the office building and begins locating the last call from They manage to find her location, but the friend goes into the manager's office and reveals that he betrayed the man by informing the police in order to obtain the bounty money. Nam sees the people after him and quickly turns off the lights, escaping out of the office and locking his pursuers inside. He escapes the building, but sees that the police are chasing after him as well. In a state of panic, he jumps under the bridge and avoids detection. The uncle calls the sister and texts her his location, before finally fainting from the pain of the fall. Nam notices her brother's message and quickly runs towards the sewer that her niece is in. She goes under the bridge and towards the entrance, while calling Gandu about her location. Suddenly, she sees the monster running towards her and tries to shoot, but gets knocked over into the ditches, which luckily prevents the beast from getting to her. After being informed about his daughter's location, Gan tries to escape the hospital, but is stopped by the doctors, who continues to perform painful experiments on him. The leading researcher reveals that there is no virus, and that the government is simply using it to distract the people from the monster's origins. Gain overhears their conversation, which prompts the doctor to lobotomize the man in order to silence him. On the other side, An is trying to comfort the boy by asking him to think about what they'll eat after getting out, as she creates a rope out of the clothing of the victims and ties a police baton at the end. The girl throws the rope on the platform and manages to make a rope ladder. Before they can escape, the monster comes back, which forces them into hiding. The two watches in disgust as the creature begins throwing up the bones of all the humans it devoured. The monster notices the children and tries to capture them, but is unable to as they hide inside the walls. At the same time, Dan takes a doctor hostage as he rushes to the outside of the building, only to see that the officers are relaxing and barbecuing like they're on vacation. He takes a vehicle by threatening to kill the hostage and rushes towards the location of his daughter. Nam also wakes up after being saved by a homeless man and manages to convince him to help in saving his niece. They use alcohol bottles and make numerous Molotov cocktails, preparing to fight the monster to the death. Yoon wakes up after hiding from the monster's attacks and notices that the boy is getting sick. She peeks outside and sees that the monster is sleeping. The girl tries running for the ropes, but is quickly ambushed by the beast, which grabs her and puts her back on the floor. She sees the boy outside as well and runs towards him, trying to save his life, while the monster chases after them from behind. Gan arrives at the nest, only to see that it's filled with bones and that his daughter is nowhere in sight. Suddenly, he sees the monster pass by him from the top, with an arm dangling from its mouth, and proceeds to chase it with his sister, who's woken up as well. They follow the monster as it swims in the river towards the gathering of protesters on shore, complaining about the quarantine and the illegal experiments. However, the people quickly notice the monster coming towards them and runs in fear as they escape the area. The police begin shooting at the creature as it climbs on land, while the military positions the chemical closer towards the monster. They release the gas into the area, which stuns the creature as it struggles in pain. Du rushes towards the monster's mouth and tries to pull his daughter out. He manages to extract the girl who's still holding on to the boy that she was trying to protect, and realizes that his daughter has died a long time ago. Du carries the girl towards the family, and they cry as the girl towards the family, and they cry as they embrace Hyun's lifeless body. The man decides to take vengeance for his daughter and begins attacking the monster with a metal pole. Nan tries to help as well and throws the Molotov cocktail at the monster, chasing it away, but is not able to land any direct hits. The homeless man sneaks on top of the creature and begins pouring gasoline on it as it watches in confusion. Nan prepares her arrow that she lit on fire and shoots at the monster, which covers it in flames. In a moment of chaos, the monster tries to run back into the water, but gets fatally stabbed by Gandu, who is hiding behind the post. The creature falls down with its last breath and dies while burning. Du notices that the boy his daughter was trying to protect is still alive, and carries him to safety as he stares at the aftermath of the chaos. Sometimes later, Gan has adopted the boy like his own son, and the two have dinner while the news criticizes the government about their actions. They continue to reside in the convenience store by the river while the snow falls, indicating that winter is coming. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my video, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.